Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the channel. You are now hanging with the real legend of gaming, but you can call me DRL. In today's NBA 2K mobile video, we are continuing our tier list series, and we will be ranking the top and best point guards in NBA 2K mobile. So we're going to be using the tier maker just like we did for our shooting guard video. And if you did not check that out, I definitely recommend you watch it after this video, because you'll know exactly who are the shooting guards you need to have on your squads. All right, so now with that said, let's jump right into the video. Let's go into the tiers. All right, cool. So as you can see here, we have a tier system that goes from D all the way up to S. So the top point guards will be in the S tier. So we're going to start with the lowest tier first. The first player, and this is actually a secret gem in the game because there's only one version of this player, but he's super underrated. And that's going to be D Brown. So D Brown has a 5 in shoot-off dribble, a 5 in mid-range shooting, a 5 in three-point shot, and a 5 in agility. So he's actually a really good point guard. He's one of those harder point guards to get in the Emerald rarity. But if you do get him and you're a new player, he should definitely hold down your squad. Another sleeper with only one card in the game, and this is COBY White. Now COBY White also has a 5 in shoot-off dribble, a 5 in mid-range shooting, a 5 in three-point shot, a 5 in agility, and he has a 5 in playmaking, which is really good. Very solid Ruby. Was available for the 2020 rookie theme. I spoke about this in the shooting guard video, but this theme had a lot of gems. These players' stats were really on the higher side for cards. Now, there are going to be a couple of players that I'm going to name, right? I do want to give a little disclaimer. This is based off of stats. Now, if there's a player that I know his gameplay is better than what their stats are, I will mention it, right? Because I've had experience with many of the players in the game. But I do think that the stats should be increased, so I'm going to leave those players in the proper tier that they have based off their stats, right? So if their stats are not as good as they should be, I'm going to mention it. And that comes into play for 3 players, right? This is the first one right here, and this is going to be Damian Lillard. Now, Damian Lillard, in my opinion, should be one of those players that are closer to the A and S tier, right? His gameplay is in, the stats are what they are, right? He has a 5 in shoot-off dribble, he has a 5 in mid-range shooting, a 5 in three-point shot, a 5 in agility, and a 5 in playmaking, right? All very good skills for a point guard. As you can see, they're pretty standard, right? All these point guards are going to have those high stats. What hurts Dame is his defending is really low, and he has no post scoring. That is a stat that some of the point guards closer to the top do have, and I will point it out. But unfortunately, as much as I love Damian Lillard, he is one of my favorite NBA players, probably my favorite. Also one of the most fun players to use in this game. Amazing gameplay, but he needs some buffs. And I do hope that he gets a buff and also a new rarity, because he deserves a pink diamond too. Here goes the next player. Same scenario as Damian Lillard is KYRIE Irving. Now KYRIE Irving, based off of power, is one of the best cards in the game, right? With that prime player bonus, KYRIE is incredible. And you've seen my free-to-play series. I have a silver KYRIE, and he is balling out. But he's another player that is deeply impacted by the stats, right? He has a 3 in layups and dunks. He's got a 1 in strength, a 2 in rebounding. Again, not stats that you really need for a point guard, but the layups and dunks is low, and that hurts him. Now, if you compare him to Damian Lillard, his playmaking, his defending and his post scoring is higher. He has a 5 in shoot-off dribble, a 5 in mid-range shooting, a 5 in three-point shot, a 5 in agility, and a 5 in playmaking. But again, those are stats that you expect for the point guard. So it's those other attributes that can add on that really hurt KYRIE Irving. But based off of gameplay, I would rank him higher, right? So for Damian Lillard and KYRIE, if your gameplay style is driving to the lane off the shoot-off dribble or hitting three-point shots, then they rank a lot higher in my opinion. Actually, no. So now we're going into the C tier. And this is actually featuring one of the players that we're grinding for in the gauntlet. Brand new to the game, Mark Jackson. But Mark Jackson is solid, right? He has a 5 in mid-range shooting, 5 in agility, 5 in playmaking, right? Not a lot of 5s, but he has a ton of 4s, right? He's got a 4 in shoot-off dribble, a 4 in strength. He's got a 4 in defending and a 4 in 3-point shot. So all that adds up. Now, also low on the post scoring side and low on the rebounding, but because those other stats are higher, it puts him at an advantage. So next is another player that we all recently grinded for, and he's my starting point guard right now, and that's Rajon Rondo. So Rajon Rondo has a 5 in agility, a 5 in playmaking, and he has a ton of 4s across the board, right? 4 shoot-off dribble, 4 layups and dunks, 4 in mid-range, 4 in 3-point shot, and a 4 in defending and rebounding. Pretty good stats, especially the rebounding. That's high for a point guard. And he has a 4 in layups and dunks, which is really decent. All right, next is one of my favorite point guards inside of NBA 2K Mobile. I was using this player for a long time, and that's DAMIAN Chris Paul. So CP3 has a 5 in shoot-off dribble, 5 in mid-range shooting, a 5 in 3-point shot, a 5 in playmaking, and a 5 in defending. Very elite. What hurts him is that he has a 2 in layups and dunks, a 2 in rebounding, a 3 in strength, and a 3 in post scoring, right? Post scoring is a little bit higher, right? We've seen some players with 2, but the layups and dunks is super low. He could get a stat buff in my opinion. I do think CP3 could probably have a 3 in layups and dunks. He probably could have a 3 in rebounding as well, right? He used to get a lot of triple doubles, and he still has the potential to do that. All right, next up is another player that we all recently grinded for, and that is ISIAH Thomas. So ISIAH Thomas, a 5 in shoot-off dribble, a 5 in mid-range shooting, a 5 in agility, and a 5 in playmaking. He also has a 4 in layups and dunks and a 4 in strength, which is high, right, for a point guard, but no post scoring and very low rebounding. Aside from that, he's actually really, really decent. And next up, again, players' gameplay definitely ranks him higher, but I gotta go based off the stats. And that is Steph Curry. Steph Curry, I know, is unstoppable. Hands down, elite when it comes to gameplay. But if you look at his stats, they are not as good as they should be. So he's got the standard, right? 5 shoot-off dribble, 5 in mid-range shooting, 5 in 3-point shot, 5 in agility, and a 5 in playmaking, right? All the good point guards that I'm naming pretty much have stats similar to that. But he has a 3 in layups and dunks, which I can argue he has a great layup package. He can be a 4. He's got a 3 in rebounding, a 2 in strength, right? I don't care too much about that, right, when it comes to a point guard. But I think in Steph Curry's case, he should be one of the very few players, and I can even argue this for Damian Lillard too, that should have a 6 or even a 7 in 3-point shot. And he should have a 6 in mid-range shooting as well, and a 6 in shoot-off dribble. And the same thing could be for Kyrie Irving. These players need buffs, right? These are the NBA's best point guards. They should be higher, right? They did a buff for Giannis that made him the top power forward. I would love to see that done for Damian Lillard and Kyrie Irving and Stephen Curry. So that's why I have to put him in the C tier. But honestly, if we base it off of gameplay, Steph Curry will be in the A and S tier. All right, so now we're going into the B tier. And we're going to kick it off with a legend, and that's Tim Hardaway. Tim Hardaway is a gem as well. He was featured in Historic Greats theme. I would love to see him brought back in the game for a higher rarity. He's got a 5 in shoot-off dribble, 5 in mid-range shooting, 5 in 3-point shot, 5 in agility, and a 5 in playmaking. But what really stands out is that 4 in strength, right? He was a big guard, and a 4 in defending. Pretty good stats. I don't think anything could be changed for him. I think they're pretty right on. All right, next we have another legend who has not really been featured in the game often, but it's Bob Cousy. So Bob Cousy, 5 in shoot-off dribble, 5 in mid-range shooting, 5 in 3-point shot, 5 in agility, and 5 in playmaking. He has a 4 in defending, a 3 in layups and dunks, and a 3 in post scoring, right? Stats are a little bit higher. That's why he's in a higher tier, right? He is pretty cool to use. His form is a little unorthodox, but aside from that, he's pretty solid. All right, next point guard is somebody who I really want to pink diamond for. He's one of the biggest guards in the game, and I believe he is super underrated. I've spoken highly about him for a long time because I was using the Onyx Ben Simmons for a good portion of my Onyx run. As you can see, he has a 5 in layups and dunks, right? One of the highest point guards when it comes to dunks. He has a 4 in mid-range shooting, which I think he's actually better than that mid-range shooting inside of the game. He's really decent, surprisingly, right? 5 in agility, 4 in strength, 4 in rebounding, again, which is high. 5 in playmaking and a 4 in defending, and a 4 in post scoring. Ben Simmons has solid stats. He's not a shooter. I'm actually surprised he got a 2 in 3-point shot. All right, next up is another gem in the game, and this is Kevin Johnson. His stats are crazy, right? 5 in shooter dribble, 5 in mid-range, 5 in 3-point shot, 5 in agility, and 5 in playmaking. We get that. He's got a 4 in layups and dunks, and a 4 in defending. Really solid overall. The stats that are low for him are the stats that don't matter too much for a point guard. All right, next up is a point guard that I think a lot of people have from grinding the events. And he's really good. I was talking highly about him when he came out, but that's Jason Kidd. So Jason Kidd has a 5 in shoot-off dribble, 5 in mid-range shooting, 5 in 3-point shot, 5 in agility, 5 in playmaking, and a 5 in defending, right? One of the few point guards that has that 5 in defending. But he also has a 4 in strength, and a 3 in rebounding. So again, really solid overall. Next up is another player that needs a rarity upgrade because he's very good. And that is Jerry West. So Jerry West has a 5 in shoot-off dribble, 5 in mid-range shooting, 5 in 3-point shot, 5 in playmaking, and a 5 in defending. Super good. He's got a 4 in post scoring and a 4 in strength. Next is another legend, and that's Walt Frazier. Walt Frazier has the 5 in shoot-off dribble, 5 in mid-range, 5 in agility, 5 in playmaking, and 5 in defending. On top of that, he also has a 4 in strength, 4 in layups and dunks, and a 4 in 3-point shot. Now we're going into the A tier. We're going to start it off with Russell Westbrook. Now I know a lot of players are not fans of Russell Westbrook in the game. I don't know if that's because you don't like Russell Westbrook in real life, but Russell Westbrook's stats are elite. And on top of that, so is his gameplay. In head-to-head, he is a menace. He's known for not having a jump shot, but in a game, he has an incredible pull-up from the top of the key, and he can hit the mid-range. I'm a big fan of Russell Westbrook inside of this game. Very well-rounded. He doesn't have any weak stats, right? He's got a 5 in agility and a 5 in playmaking, and trust me, he's fast. And then a 4 in everything else. And in my honest opinion, I think Russell Westbrook could get a buff in layups and dunks. Because if you play with him, you will see that his layup package is incredible. He could have a 5 or 6 in layups and dunks as well. Next player, Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson is so much fun to use. Incredibly gifted. Really talented. And in this game, he is a GOAT. Super good to use. 5 in shoot-off dribble, 5 in mid-range shooting, 5 in 3-point shot, 5 in agility, 5 in playmaking, 5 in defending. He's got a 4 in layups and dunks, and trust me, he could dunk a lot. The last player for the A tier is Gary Payton. Gary Payton is so good. And I do think that some of his stats don't do him proper justice. He's already elite, right? He's already in the A tier. He's got a 5 in shoot-off dribble, 5 in mid-range shooting, 5 in 3-point shot, 5 in post scoring, 5 in agility, 5 in playmaking, and a 5 in defending. And I can argue that he deserves a 6 in defending because he gets a lot of strips. Aside from that, layups and dunks is a 3, but I can count the number of times I've seen Gary Payton dunk in real life. I think 3 is fine. Now we're on the S tier. This player right here is so good. I personally think gameplay-wise, he is the best point guard. And if you have him, then you know. Robertson, the big O. 5 in shoot-off dribble, 5 in mid-range shooting, 5 in 3-point shot, 5 in post scoring, 5 in agility, 5 in strength, 5 in playmaking, 5 in defending. So many 5s. It's unbelievable. Now he has a 4 in rebounding. This guy averaged triple-double for in the season before Russell Westbrook, right? He can get a 5 in rebounding, but he didn't. He's got a 3 in layups and dunks. I don't think that's accurate either because he dunks a whole lot inside the game. But regardless of the fact, at a 4.7 overall stat average, this dude is elite. Last but not least, if you've been following my channel for a while, you already know that Magic Johnson is the best point guard in the game. He has the height and the stats and the gameplay. It's so smooth. 5 in shoot-off dribble, 5 in mid-range shooting, 5 in post scoring, 5 in agility, 5 in strength, 5 in playmaking. Actually, I'm sorry, 6 in playmaking. That's right. The only player in the game with a 6 in playmaking. And he's got a 5 in defending. But 4.8 overall stat average. He's one of the best players in the game, period. And that is why he's so hard to get. So that's it. That is the tier list for the point guards. If you didn't see the shooting guard video, then definitely check it out. Share this with everyone because, again, these videos, I think, add value to the community because everyone's always asking who are the best players in NBA 2K Mobile. So I got you. All right, so again, thank you. I'll drop another one very soon. The next video that's going to drop on the channel is my free-to-play episode number 2. It's going to be a nice one, right? We made some nice progress from last week, and it'll be pretty interesting to check out, all right?